Let's bring in distinguished professor at Touro University, Thane Rosenbaum. Great to see you, sir. How disturbing is it that the Democrats are so willing to shred the Constitution and government's accountability out of fear of President Trump and his America First policies?
It's a good question, Chris, whether the process has been abused. I mean, look, they've also made a mess of this. If I was the Justice Department, Chris, I would not be happy. I wouldn't know what to do with this material. Remember, they can walk away. The committee can walk away. The Justice Department now has to make a decision whether to bring a prosecution. And so this is like inviting someone to your house and they leave a mess and they leave. Because first of all, this stuff doesn't even line up with the case that they've already brought against the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. So for instance, how come we didn't hear the word seditious conspiracy today? We heard insurrection, but the 5 or 6 of the leaders of the Proud Boys and the actual leaders of the insurrection itself, they were not charged with insurrection. So what's the reason that it seems to me undermining the prosecution by forcing the Justice Department to undo everything that it's already done in the cases that it's already brought? Also, I didn't hear any words like intent. You know, Chris, in a crime, you have to show intent. And you heard a lot today about what the president did do or shouldn't have done or wanted to do but didn't do, which goes to issues of negligence, but not to issues of intent. So, you know, they always had a tough case to make, certainly on the issues of incitement, right? Because the president had a First Amendment right to address the crowd. And he used words, by the way, Chris, that they did not repeat today. For instance, you know, soon we will walk over peacefully and patriotically and make your voices heard. Well, frankly, Chris, that sentence is automatically not incitement, right? Incitement is where we go, he instructs them imminently to go over and attack the Capitol. And instead, they're trying to piece together things that he wrote in tweets weeks before. That's just not how the First Amendment works. The Supreme Court precedent is very clear. It has to be imminent violence. And the words that you did not hear today were peacefully and patriotically walk over and make your voices heard.
I know, and they did it on purpose. And again, I think that undermines the legitimacy of this committee. And they also never addressed why the security lapses were allowed to happen and bring up somebody who was accountable for this. They didn't want to get to the bottom of what actually happened on January 6th and why this riot was allowed to occur. They wanted to tattoo it to President Trump, and it's blatantly clear, and it delegitimizes everything they've been about. I've only got about 60 seconds left, Thane. I want you to comment on what this really is. It's another bit of fodder for the biased press to highlight this distraction in a soap opera to distract away from all of the harm really the Democrats are doing to this country.
Look, you know, I think they knew where the midterms were going, Chris. And I think that their idea is anything that we can do to continue to put the pressure on President Trump so that he won't run again, or if he runs again, he'll lose. And so you can just see everything about this, you know, they're talking about dereliction of duty, which doesn't apply in a civil case. You know, he's not a military officer. So they're just throwing things. There's like lots of different colors in order to prejudice Trump's candidacy. But it's not clear whether the Justice Department is going to look upon this information and say, hey, thanks a lot. You've made the case harder for us to even bring. On the other hand, Chris, finally, it might be the Justice Department's view that we'll take our time. We'll spend the next 2 years deciding whether we'll bring any charges. And I think that's one of the reasons why the president's not fighting and he's saying, bring it.
That's exactly what I think the strategy is going to be. Drip, 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 drip from the Justice Department, because it's all a cabal. It's all being planned behind the scenes. And the only common thread is anti-Trumpism. Thane Rosenbaum, thank you very much. Appreciate the time, sir.